Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into an absolutely incredible true story today. A story of immense patience, deep love, and ultimate sacrifice. We're going to explore the life of Hazrat Zaynab, the eldest daughter of the Prophet Muhammad. Now, this isn't just some dusty historical recounting. It's a profoundly moving narrative that maps out exactly how unwavering trust can carry you through the most heartbreaking hardships imaginable.
So, let me ask you, what would you actually sacrifice for your faith? It's a pretty heavy question, right? But it's really at the very heart of our explainer today. We're following a woman who faced real, agonizing choices between the family she loved and her unshakable belief. Her journey really forces us to look in the mirror and ask what true resilience looks like when absolutely everything is on the line.
Now, what's totally fascinating here is how her very birth completely shattered the dark cultural norms of pre-Islamic Arabia. Back then, during what was known as the Age of Ignorance, if a father found out he had a daughter, it was super common for him to just be overcome with grief and shame. But look at the contrast. When Zaynab was born, her father's reaction was pure, absolute joy. He felt profound gratitude and openly showed his pride. He totally rejected those toxic societal norms and brought her into this incredibly warm, loving home.
So she grows up, right? She takes on responsibilities, cares for her siblings, and eventually it's time for her to marry. And she enters into this deeply loving marriage with her maternal cousin, Abul As. He was actually known all throughout Mecca as this incredibly honest, trustworthy merchant. And what's really amazing is that before any agreement was even made, the Prophet explicitly asked for Zaynab's consent. He truly respected her agency. She gave her modest agreement through her silence, and she and Abul As started this beautiful, peaceful life together.
Well, they enjoyed years of peace, but that peace was abruptly shattered by the dawn of prophethood. When revelation came to her father, Zaynab didn't hesitate. She accepted Islam immediately. But her husband, Abul As, didn't. You can imagine the profound tension this caused, right? It actually led to a really painful physical separation down the road. Because when the Muslims were finally granted permission to migrate to Medina to escape all the persecution, Zaynab couldn't go. She had to stay behind in Mecca because her husband wouldn't let her leave.
You've kind of got to understand Abul As's dilemmas here to grasp the whole picture. As tensions are boiling over, the leaders of the Quraysh are putting insane pressure on him to just divorce Zaynab. They literally offered him any woman in Mecca if he'd just agree. But he flat out refused. He deeply loved and respected his wife. But at the same time, he still wouldn't convert. He even openly admitted he knew the Prophet was a truthful man. He just couldn't stomach the idea of his tribe thinking he abandoned his forefathers' religion merely to please his wife.
So this marital tension, it literally spills out onto the battlefield at the Battle of Badr. Abul As marches with the Quraysh army fighting directly against the Muslims, which means fighting against his own father-in-law. The Muslims pull off a decisive victory and Abul As gets taken as a prisoner of war. Just put yourself in Zaynab's shoes for a second. She's back in Mecca, anxiously waiting for news, only to find out her husband has been captured by her father's army. No way to win, right?
To get him out, Zaynab had to send what's called a fidya. Basically, that's just a ransom paid to release a prisoner of war. But here's the thing. Zaynab didn't just send money. She included a profoundly personal, deeply sentimental item in that ransom package that literally changed the course of everything.
The item she sent was her wedding necklace. It was a gift from her late mother, Hazrat Khadijah. When the Prophet saw this specific necklace mixed in with the ransom goods, he just broke down and wept. Recognizing his beloved late wife's heirloom, he turned to his companions and asked, "If you consider it appropriate, return this necklace to her. It is a memory of my beloved Khadijah."
The Sahaba, his companions, were incredibly moved, and of course, they happily agreed to return the wealth and the necklace. But there was the catch. One firm condition for Abul As's release. He had to promise that the absolute second he returned to Mecca, he would send Zaynab to Medina. Based on new guidelines, a Muslim woman could no longer stay married to a polytheist. And Abul As, true to his reputation as an honest man, agreed.
Okay, so this promise sets the stage for just a totally heartbreaking departure. Before she leaves Mecca, Zaynab takes her young daughter, visits her mother Khadijah's grave, and weeps as she says a final goodbye. Then comes the bittersweet farewell to her husband. As they're parting ways, both of them are just in tears. Abul As even confessed that if it weren't for the promise he made to her father, he would have never, ever let her go.
But getting out of Mecca wasn't easy. It was an absolute nightmare. She leaves in broad daylight with her cousin, but their caravan gets ambushed by furious members of the Quraysh. A man named Habar bin Aswad actually attacks her camel. Zaynab, who was pregnant at the time, takes a brutal fall to the ground. She tragically loses her unborn child and suffers severe internal injuries. They actually have to retreat to Mecca, only managing a secret, desperate escape to Medina days later under the cover of pitch-black darkness.
I want you to just focus on this number for a second. 16. That represents the 16 years Zaynab and Abu As had spent together as husband and wife. And throughout this torturous, prolonged separation, she never stopped praying for him. She held on to the memory of how kind and respectful he was to her for a decade and a half. Honestly, it's a massive testament to her incredible patience and her unwavering belief that Allah could eventually turn his heart.
Fast forward a bit to year 6. Abul As is leading a trade caravan back from Syria when, boom, it gets intercepted by a Muslim patrol near Medina. They recognize him, so they don't hurt anyone, but they do confiscate the caravan's goods. In all the chaos, Abul As actually manages to slip away, and he flees straight into the heart of Medina.
And guess where he goes? He sneaks right to Zaynab's house seeking secret asylum. The very next morning, right in the middle of Fajr prayers, she shocks the entire congregation. She calls out in a loud, clear voice, "I have given protection to Abul As." She publicly stood up for him, showing this fierce, unshakable loyalty that just left the whole community stunned.
The Prophet accepted her asylum on the spot, stating that whoever Zaynab protects is protected by everyone. He even urged the companions to return Abul As's wealth, which they did gladly. But he had to gently remind his daughter of the strict boundaries of their faith. He told her, "Treat him kindly, but do not establish marital relations with him, as you are no longer lawfully married."
So, with his wealth and goods fully restored, Abul As heads back to Mecca. And right here is where he proves exactly why he earned that title of the honest merchant. He gathers the Quraysh, meticulously hands out every single penny and trust back to its rightful owner, and then stands there, asking clearly if he owes anyone anything. They confirm he doesn't, openly praising his integrity.
Once every last debt is cleared and his honor is completely unquestionable, he drops this absolute turning point of a declaration. He openly embraces Islam, saying, "I testify that there is no God but Allah. I delayed my conversion only so you wouldn't think I kept your wealth." He wanted to enter the faith completely on his own terms with 100% transparency.
And he doesn't waste a single second. He gathers the things and travels straight back to Medina to reunite with Zaynab and their daughter. The Prophet joyfully renewed their marriage right away. Finally, after all those years of agonizing separation, a family was beautifully restored in both faith and love. Zaynab's years of desperate, patient prayers had literally been answered.
But guys, tragically, this worldly reunion was far too short. In the year 8 AH, at just 30 years old, Hazrat Zaynab fell severely ill. Those devastating injuries she took during that horrific desert ambush years earlier, they had never truly healed. Her body finally gave out to those lingering complications, and she passed away.
The grief of her passing was just immense. In a deeply moving final farewell, the grieving prophet actually took off his own inner shirt and offered it to be used as her shroud. He personally climbed down into her grave to lay her to rest, praying so fervently for Allah to make her grave spacious and comfortable. When he finally emerged, his face showed a profound peace, knowing his prayer for his beloved daughter had been accepted.
So, what's her legacy? It's monumental, honestly. Her life gives us this extraordinary blueprint built on 4 pillars. Unwavering sabr, which is patience. Perfect wafa, loyalty to her family and faith. Immense qurbani, meaning sacrifice. And above all, a complete, unshakable trust in Allah's timing. She proves that maintaining excellent character through absolute adversity can eventually conquer any hardship.
I really want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. Her sacrifices reunited her family in this world and secured her place in the next. So when you are inevitably faced with your own insurmountable odds, how will you react? What legacy of patience and resilience will you leave behind? Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next one.